Hey guys, so this side CA Sachin Jain from Jodhpur, and in this particular video course, we'll discuss on the GSTR 9 and 9C, the annual return and reconciliation statement. As we all know that the current scenario is completely related to the filing of GSTR 9 and 9C. Hence, we are coming with this particular type of video course. Also, this is a very great thing for me that you bought my book, and with this book we are going to provide this explanatory video. Okay, and this video will be very much helpful because we'll discuss on the clause by clause analysis of GSTR 9 and 9C with the concept of provision of law. Okay, we have divided this video in two parts. One is related to the GSTR 9 and the second will be related to GSTR 9C. Before moving ahead, I just want to share certain important things related to the course. The first thing, the mode of communication of this course will be Hindi and English both. The maximum content will be covered in English language. Certain examples will be in Hindi, but I will convert the same into English for your use, okay, for your comfort. The second thing, whenever you will watch this particular video, just keep the physical book, Technical Guide to GSTR 9 and 9C with you, so that if you found any important point, any specific point, if you want to make a note, you can easily make the note. Okay, because in this book we have provided certain free space as well to put certain notes to make your own notes. This video is very much useful for GST professionals, for chartered accountants, cost management accountant, your article assistant. Okay, so everyone who is going to deal with the GST, this video is very much important. Okay, in this video we'll also discuss that how you are filing your GSTR 3B and GSTR 1 return, and how you are going to reconcile the same, how the data is presented in the GSTR 9 and 9C. Basically, this video course is completely related to the presentation of the data in the GSTR 9 and 9C, and we'll discuss clause by clause. Okay. And I am always saying that as a professional, this is not my duty or this is not my work to file the GSTR 3B, GSTR 1 return. I just need to check that the returns are filed in a correct way or not. When we are filing the GSTR 9 or 9C, that is annual return and reconciliation statement, we should be very much careful, because these are the very specific forms which are not supposed to change, not supposed to rectify. Once you have put the data in GSTR 9 and 9C and filed the same, in such a situation, your data will be logged. There will be no any option available for the revision. And in case of any scrutiny, any departmental audit, any litigation, these GSTR 9 and 9C will plays a very important role. And I suggest, as there is a requirement that if your turnover exceeds 2 crore rupees, in such a scenario, the taxpayer has to file the GSTR 9 return. And if the turnover exceeds 5 crore or more, in such a situation, there will be a requirement to file GSTR 9C return. But I suggest that if there is any reconciliation required, if there is any mismatch, if there is any amendment related to a particular financial year, which you have shown in the subsequent financial year, in such a scenario, you should file your GSTR 9 return, whether your turnover is more than 2 crore or less than 2 crore. That is what is the thing we need to keep in our mind. Okay, in this video course, we'll also going to share with you certain important tips or techniques to file the GSTR 9 and 9C return in a very smooth way. So watch this video till end, complete this video course with the book, so that it will be very much useful, because the book is completely compiled from the ICAI guidance note and handbook. Okay, so there will be chances of certain technical words, certain technical things, or someone is not able to understand the same. Hence we are going to provide this video course so that everyone can easily understand the book, और जो हमारा पर्पस है वो उसके पीछे सॉल्व हो सके. जो हमने बुक लॉन्च की है, यू कैन इजीली अंडरस्टैंड द लैंग्वेज ऑफ द बुक, ऑल्दो वी हैव कवर्ड मल्टीपल एग्जांपल्स टेकन फ्रॉम द ICAI गाइडेंस नोट फॉर द बेटरमेंट ऑफ द नॉलेज. So just start the learning and enjoy the video. Okay, so let's start our discussion on the GSTR 9 and 9C. I am not going to read the complete lines of the book. I am just going to read the heading, and I am going to explain you the things, practical things I am also going to share with you, so that you can easily use it while filing the GSTR 9 and 9C return. Okay, so जहां पर मुझे कुछ हाईलाइट करने की रिक्वायरमेंट होगी, आई विल डेफिनेटली हाईलाइट द सेम. लेट्स स्टार्ट अवर डिस्कशन. Feel free, there is no any load is required on your book, just keep that फिजिकल बुक विथ यू सो दैट यू कैन मार्क इट। बाकी हम लोग बहुत इंजॉयफुल मोड में इस कोर्स को कंप्लीट करेंगे। यू विल डेफिनेटली इंजॉय, एंड इफ देयर विल बी एनी क्वेरी, एनी क्वेश्चन इन फ्यूचर, in that case you may connect with me over WhatsApp. I will share with you the WhatsApp number of my office, okay, so that you can easily connect over WhatsApp, you can easily connect over the mail ID. The complete facility is available from my side. So rest assured, if there will be any professional help required, you may connect with me. Okay, let's start our discussion. So as we all know that section number 44 is related to your GSTR 9 and 9C, that is annual return के लिए we have a specific section, section number 44. Okay, we'll also take the reference of certain sections, and as per that particular section, every registered person has to file the GSTR 9 return other than the input service distributor, the person who is a TDS deductor or TCS, a casual taxable person, a non-resident taxable person. So these are the persons. There will be no requirement to file the GSTR 9 return. Baki all other taxpayer has to file the annual return. Okay, I am not using the word GSTR 9. I am using the word annual return, so that composition person also has to file the annual return. The e-commerce operator also has to file the annual return. The regular taxpayer also has to file the annual return, so that we can easily link it. Now, for the regular person, there is requirement to file the annual return in GSTR 9. For the composition dealer, there is a requirement to file the annual return in GSTR 4. And for the e-commerce operator, file the annual return in GSTR 9B. Okay. Now, if the turnover is below 2 crore rupees, in that case, there will be no requirement to file the GSTR 9 return. That means there will be no any mandatory requirement. But if you want to file, you can file it, as we have already covered that particular topic, and this is through the notification. In this book, we have also covered certain notification for your reference, so that suppose if there will be any litigation or notice in future, there will be no any requirement to read any further material or do Google. You just open the book, you can easily find out the reference of notification for the extension, for the applicability of provisional, for the applicability of optional table. It will be very easy. Okay, that is what is the logic. Now, suppose, as we all know that GSTN is state wise, there is no any centralized GST registration. GST is a state wise. That means if you have PAN number and you are supposed to open one business at Rajasthan, another business is at Gujarat, third business is at Maharashtra, in such a situation, PAN number is same, but GSTN will be different. That means you have to take different GSTN. Now, this 2 crore ki limit will be applicable based on the aggregate turnover. Means, suppose if your Rajasthan turnover is more than 2 crore rupees, suppose 5 crore rupees, you have no any turnover at Maharashtra. In such a situation, also you need to file the annual return at Maharashtra, because your aggregate turnover will be calculated based on your PAN number, not based on your GSTN. So this is also a very important information which we need to keep in our mind. वरना होता क्या है, we are checking the GSTN of our party, we are saying that the turnover is below 2 crore, there will be no requirement to file the GSTR 9 return. Please check that person has any other GSTN, then after calculate the aggregate turnover based on PAN number. Suppose if the taxpayer has cancelled the GST registration, in that case, whether there will be requirement to file the GST R9? Yes, definitely. But suppose during the particular financial year, the taxpayer has applied for the cancellation of registration, the authority has passed the order for cancellation, the person has filed the final return as well. In such a scenario, there will be no requirement to file the GSTR 9 return. Okay. Suppose, next example, I am not going to read the language of law, but I am going to take the examples, and through the examples, I am going to explain the things, so that when you will read this particular book, it will be very easy for you to understand the things. Because when you will go through with this book, you will find that everything we have already covered. Okay, sir. Now, suppose a particular taxpayer, and earlier that person has registered as a composition dealer. During the financial year, the turnover of that person has crossed the specific limit. Okay, that means 1.5 CR tak I can go for the composition scheme. So the turnover has crossed the limit of 1.5 CR. Hence, the person has taken the regular taxpayer. and for the whole financial year the turnover has crossed the limit of 2 crore rupees. In such a situation, the question is that whether that person has to file the GSTR 4 or GSTR 9 return, because during that particular financial year that person is registered as a composition or as a regular as well. So in such a situation, that person has to file both the returns. For composition period, that person has to file the GSTR 4. For the regular period, that person has to file the GSTR 9. Okay. Here, the form number is mentioned for composition delay is 9A, but now the form is applicable as GSTR 4. Okay. Once you have filed the GSTR 9 return, there will be no any chances for the amendment or for the revision of the GSTR 9 return. So we need to put the data very carefully. Okay, because you are going to present the liability of the whole year. So you should be very much careful while filing the GSTR 9 return. Also, this is a information return. This is a annual return, which is statutory document. So you should not present any false information. If there will be any false information will be there, suppose the taxpayer has mentioned the wrong input tax credit, wrong reversal, wrong output tax. In such a situation, there may be chances that departmental authority will initiate the proceeding against you for providing the false information in the statutory documents. So we need to be very much careful from that aspect as well. And if there will be any liability which you are supposed to show in the annual return, in such a situation, you need to pay that liability through the electronic cash ledger by filing the DRC 03. Means, suppose you are filing the GSTR 9 return of financial year 2023-24. You have not declared a specific liability during the financial year 2023-24. You have also not declared the same till the timeline of section 16 subsection 4. That means the 30th November or annual return ki due date, whichever is earlier. And you are supposed to show that liability in GSTR 9. That means when you are supposed to introduce the specific liability in your GSTR 9 return, you have to pay the amount through the cash ledger. There will be no any eligibility to utilize the same through the credit ledger. This is a very important thing. Hence, we are saying that when we are doing the income tax audit or while filing the GSTR 3B return of September month or October month, if there will be any adjustment, we need to make that adjustments so that we can pay the liability through the use of credit ledger. But if you are supposed to introduce in GSTR 9, in such a scenario, you have to pay through the cash ledger by DRC 03. Also, one important thing, I am always saying that in this GSTR 3B, if you want to pay anything, you can pay. But suppose during the financial year, there will be any input tax credit which you have not claimed and you are planning to claim it in annual return. In that case, this is not possible. Okay, that means आप government से कुछ भी ले नहीं सकते हो while filing the GSTR 9 return, but you can pay. That is what is the facility which is available. If a particular person has not filed the annual return, in such a scenario, that person can receive the notice as well for non-filers. Also, there is a late fees. If your turnover is up to 5 crore rupees, this is the updated late fees which will be applicable from financial year 2022-23 onwards. That means the same late fees will be applicable for financial year 2023-24. Because earlier the liability was 100 rupees under CGST, 100 rupees under SGST. But now government has reduced the late fees. So we also need to update ourselves from the latest notifications as well. So that if there will be any litigation and departmental authority will raise the demand on account of the earlier notification, in that case, we can use that new latest notification and we can prepare our reply. Because in 40 to 60% scenario, in case of any notice related to late fees or interest, the demand or our reply should only be based on the certain notification. Okay. So as per the latest notification for financial year 2022-23 onwards, if the turnover is up to 5 crore rupees and the taxpayer has not filed the GSTR 9 return, in such a situation, the late fees will be 25 rupees per day under each head of CGST and SGST, and also maximum up to 0.02% of the turnover. And if the turnover is more than 5 crore rupees, in such a scenario, the late fees will be 50 rupees under each head of CGST and SGST, and a maximum of 0.02% of the turnover. That is what is the liability which is prescribed through a notification. Okay, so this is the penalty for non-filing of the GSTR 9 return. Also, as we all know, there is a specific provision under GST for the journal penalty under section number 125 of CGST Act. Suppose if there will be any compliance failure, suppose the taxpayer has filed the GSTR 9 return in a wrong way, the data is mentioned completely in a wrong way, not presented in a proper way. In such a scenario, departmental authority has power to impose the journal penalty, that is 25,000 rupees under each head of CGST and SGST as per section number 125 of CGST Act. So merely filing of GSTR 9 is not sufficient. There is requirement to file the GSTR 9 return in a very correct way. That is what is the requirement of law. Also, suppose a taxpayer has not filed the GSTR 9 return, in such a scenario, after expiry of 3 years from the due date to file the GSTR 9 return for that particular financial year, the taxpayer will not be allowed to file the GSTR 9 return further. That means अगर कोई फाइनेंशियल ईयर का मेरा GSTR 9 फाइल करना रहा हुआ है, in that case I can file the same up to 3 years from the due date of filing of annual return. If I failed, in that case there will be no any further option to file that GSTR 9 return. This is the important thing which we need to keep in our mind. And these are the very introduction related point related to GSTR 9. Now we are going to start our discussion on the various tables of GSTR 9. The point is that first we need to understand that what are the implications, what do you mean by the GSTR 9, why there is requirement of GSTR 9, so that we can get the data, we can file the return in a very efficient way. I suppose अभी तक हम लोगों ने जो भी डिस्कस किया है, everything is okay for you. I request, when you will watch this recorded video, in such a situation, I am asking that this concept is okay for you, or I suppose that you have get this concept. Whenever you will watch this video, just say yourself that yes, I got that concept. Yes, this concept is okay for me. Okay, because to record the videos, it is a quite difficult task. If there will be a live session, it is a easy to interact with the participants. But I suppose that when you will watch this video at the time, you just need to try that this session is interactive. I am just asking with you that sir, concepts are okay. Are you enjoying the session? Okay. Now, we have certain parts in GSTR 9. And all these parts are specific and very much required. Okay. In first part, they have asked for the basic details. Okay. Basic details means when I am going to introduce myself with others in such a situation, first I am going to say, this is my name. I am from Jodhpur, Rajasthan. Basically, I have done this chartered accountancy, company secretary, LLB, DISA, FFD, all those things I have done. So I am going to share the details about me. The same thing will be applicable in case of GSTR 9. They are asking for the basic details. The second things they are asking about the outward supply. That means the sales which made by the taxpayer. The third things they are asking, that is related to the input tax credit, because when the taxpayer is supposed to show the outward liability or outward supply, in such a scenario, that person has also claimed the input tax credit to set off the outward liability. So we need to get the annual data of that as well. Fourth part mein they are asking for the payment of tax. That means, sir, you have declared the outward liability, you have declared the input tax credit, you have set off both those things. Now, how you have made the adjustment, how you have made the payment of the cash ledger and credit ledger, we just need to provide the bifurcation. That is what is my fourth part. In fifth part, they are asking that, sir, suppose related to a particular financial year, if you have made any adjustment during the subsequent financial year within the specific timeline of section 16 subsection 4, then just show the same so that we can reconcile the figures with the annual financial statement. And in sixth part, they are asking for the other information, like during the financial year you have claimed any refund, there is any demand which is raised by the departmental authority, sir, you have made a supply of this goods So provide us the HSN code wise summary of your supply, of your input tax credit. And if there will be any late fees is applicable, in that case, show the same in the other information. Conclusively, if you will go through with all these type of tables, in such a situation, you found that this is a complete reconciliation bunch annual presentation of the data which you have filed in your monthly or quarterly GSTR 3B and GSTR 1 return, nothing more than that. Your outward, your input tax credit, your set off, your any other things which you have shown during the next financial year, your any demand, your any refund, or your summary, everything they are asking in the annual return, so that they can compile the data, so that system can easily detect the things through the analysis of the GSTR 9 and 9C return. They can easily raise the demand if there will be any requirement on the account of analysis of GSTR 9. That is what is the logic of this GSTR 9. एक तो मुझे 12 महीने के 12 रिटर्न चेक करने, आई नीड टू चेक द 12 रिटर्न फॉर द 12 मंथ्स, और आई जस्ट नीड टू चेक द वन रिटर्न फॉर द कंसोलिडेशन. That is what is the logic of this annual return. Now, as we all know, there are certain data which is auto populated in the GSTR 9 return. Okay, your outward supply related data should be auto populated from your GSTR 1 return. Your input tax credit related data will be auto populated from your GSTR 3B return. Now, one common question is there that, sir, while filing the GSTR 9 return, we need to reconcile the figures from GSTR 3B return or GSTR 1 return or our books of accounts. So conclusively, I can say that your GSTR 9 should be matched with your GSTR 1, GSTR 3B, GS books. Okay. This is the ideal situation. But if suppose there is a variation, in that case, as per my suggestion and also as per the advisory issued by the GSTN, your GSTR 9 should be filed on the GSTR 3B return. Sir, why? Because whatever we learn in this particular video, we'll learn with the logics. Why we need to reconcile the figure, or why we need to reconcile the liability or the input tax credit through the GSTR 3B? Because government is getting the revenue from GSTR 3B. Your set of output and input you are doing through the GSTR 3B. So government saying that when we are getting the revenue from the GSTR 3B return, in such a situation, your annual reconciliation should be based on your GSTR 3B return. Okay. But ideal situation, your 1, 3B and book should be matched. But you may file your GSTR 9 return based on your GSTR 3B, but you should ready with all type of reconciliation. Okay. We also have a short recorded video on the reconciliations. Okay, if you want the same, you may connect over the WhatsApp number of my office, so that they will provide you the link as well for the reconciliation. In that video, we have covered all the required reconciliations to file a effective GSTR 9 and 9C return. Okay, now let's start our discussion on clause by clause analysis of GSTR 9. First, we'll discuss on part number 1. Now, I am not supposed to read any line from the particular module. I am just going to explain you the things. But when you will go through with this particular book, you will find that everything we have already covered in our oral communication, in our deliberation. Okay. Now, in basic details, they are first asking for the financial year. That means, suppose you are filing the annual return for financial year 2023-24. In such a scenario, the financial year will be 2023-24. GSTN will be auto-populated. You are filing the GSTR 9 return for a specific client. The GSTN will be auto-populated. Your legal name, that means based on your PAN number, will also automatically here, and your trade name. Trade name means trade name is different from the legal name. Legal name will always be based on PAN number. Suppose I have taken the GST registration. My name is Sachin Jain. Okay. So my legal name will be Sachin Jain. But I have provided the trade name that my business should be Messrs Batuk Consultancy. In such a situation, the trade name will be Messrs Batuk Consultancy. That will be here. In this particular part 1, the maximum things will be auto-populated when you will select a particular client. Now, we'll start the role of part number second, and this is also a very important part of your GSTR 9. This is your outward liability and input tax credit on which you have made the payment under reverse charge mechanism. As we all know, under GST, there are two mechanisms for GST. One is forward charge, another is reverse charge. During our discussion, I am also going to share with you the definition of certain basic concepts so that if someone has no idea about that particular term, it will be clear. Okay. Under forward charge, supplier is going to make the payment of taxes. Under reverse charge, recipient is going to make the payment of the taxes and claim the input tax credit. That means under reverse charge, recipient is making the payment and claiming the input tax credit under self-invoicing mechanism or self-invoicing system. Okay. That means the part 2 of your GSTR 9 is related to the payment to the governments. When you will declare the outward liability, when you will make the payment under reverse charge mechanism, that means your payment related table or part is your part number 2. Now, just logically try to understand that when we are saying that in part number 2, I need to suppose to inform the details related to outward supply. So when I will make the outward supply, there may be chances. Sir, first we'll try to understand the terminology. Then after we'll directly move to the table and we'll try to understand. When I'm going to make the outward supply, in such a scenario, there may be chances that I am making the supply to unregistered person. ऐसा तो है नहीं कोई ऐसा बंदा जो जीएसटी में रजिस्टर्ड नहीं है. आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू सेल द प्रोडक्ट्स टू दैट पर्टिकुलर पर्सन, नॉट एट ऑल. सो first I may sell my goods or services to the unregistered person, the specific person who have not taken the GST registration. The second thing is my registered person. I may sell the goods to the registered person. There may be chances that I am going to make an export. You can say zero rated supply. And as we all know that there are two types of export. One is with pay or another is without payment. With pay matlab with payment of IGST I am going to make the export, and without payment that means I am not supposed to make the payment of tax on my export. That means under LUT. Okay. Basic concept I am going to cover, but our target is to cover the GSTR 9. So I am not supposed to cover the complete GST law, okay, in this particular video course, okay, but I will try to cover the maximum concepts. So export, the fourth type of supply may be deemed export. Sir, what do you mean by the deemed export? Suppose I am going to make a supply to Mr. X and Mr. X is going to export it. So Mr. X is saying me that Sachin, I am going to make it export within 90 days. So if you will make the supply to me, it will be treated as deemed export because you are selling to a exporter. In such a scenario, I need to take certain documents, and in case of deemed export, there is a specific rate of GST will be applicable, that is 0.10%. Also, if I am going to make the sales to export oriented unit, or if I am going to make the sales under advance authorization, in all those scenarios, the same will be covered under the definition of deemed export. Sir, when as a recipient, I am going to make the payment of taxes and I am claiming the input tax credit, that time also I am paying the tax to the government. So reverse charge will also be called as. So these type of supplies are possible. And based on these type of supplies, government has developed the GSTR 9 part number 2. Okay. Just try to understand. मैं पहले आपको logic बता रहा हूँ. Why these things are there? What type of things are there? So that we can easily interact that the form is there and the form is completely based on the logic and the reasoning, so that we can easily get the point. That is what is the logic to introduce these type of things to you. First thing they are asking for, supply made to an unregistered person, that is B2CS. Second, supply made to a registered person. Third, zero rated supply on payment of tax. Supply to special economic zone. Sir, under zero rated supply, there are total two type of supplies are there. One is export, another is supply to special economic zone. Because whenever a person is going to make the supply to special economic zone, that will be treated as zero rated supply because government has classified that area economically. Okay. Another is my deemed export and inward supply on which the tax is paid under reverse charge mechanism. Also, one more concept is there. As I am a service provider, I am a professional trainer, I am taking the training services. Okay. One of the organization has booked my schedule for November 2024 month. That sir, you have to take the sessions for 5 days. I've said yes, okay, my schedule is free, so I will take the sessions, and the fees is 5 lakh rupees. Just deposit 2 lakh rupees as advance, and that person has paid this advance to me in October 2024 month. As we all know, if there will be any advance on account of services, in that case, we have to make the payment of tax on that as when we'll receive the advance. So I need to make the payment of GST on advances in the October month. That means when I will file my return of October month. So I need to show it, but I will generate the invoices in November month. That means after completion of the service, after the session. So the point is that if there will be any advance on which tax has already been paid, but invoices has not been generated, the same should be presented here. So this is the classification of your outward supply. And this is auto-populated from your GSTR1 return. But suppose if there will be any changes, just take one example. While filing the GSTR1 return, you have shown certain entities as an unregistered person. But actually those entities are registered person. In such a situation, while filing the GSTR9, you need to put the correct bifurcation of registered and unregistered person. That is what is the thing we need to keep in our mind. So this is my part one ka outward supply. Okay, I suppose this concept is okay for you. In all these type of parameters, they have mentioned the deliberation which we have orally done. Okay, related to the definition of zero rated supply, related to the export, related to the outward supply, all those things are there. Okay, now the second point, when I am making a particular supply to unregistered person, registered person, when I am making the export, when I am making the supply to to a special economic zone, to the deemed export, there may be chances that there is reduction in my outward supply. Sir, why there will be a reduction in the outward supply? Suppose I have sold a goods of 1 lakh rupees to Mr. X. There may be chances that person has returned the goods of 20,000 rupees. In such a scenario, I need to issue the credit note related to my supply. Okay. There may be chances earlier I have made a sales of 1 lakh rupees to Mr. X, but after that there is a price variation, price fluctuation, hence the value is 1,20,000 rupees. So for enhancement of the value, I need to issue the debit note. So I have issued the debit note for 20,000 rupees. So credit note, there may be chances, debit note, there may be chances. Now, one point we need to carefully understand that if there is any unregistered person, and if that unregistered person has bought certain goods from me and that person has returned certain goods, in such a scenario, for the unregistered person, we not supposed to provide the separate information of credit and debit note. That means you have to show the unregistered person sales net of credit note. Net of debit and credit note for the unregistered person only. As we all know, when we are filing our GSTR1 return, at that time also we are showing the unregistered person ki sales net of the credit or debit note. The same concept will be applicable in case of your GSTR9. But related to registered person, if there will be any sales return, if there will be any enhancement in the sales, in such a scenario, we need to show it in the GSTR9 return separately under credit note or debit note option. Okay. There may be chances that during that particular financial year, suppose related to financial year 2023-24, related to the financial year 2023-24, I have made certain amendments. As we all know, we can file the amendments in our GSTR1 return related to the change in GST and related to the reduction of the value of supply, reduction of the enhancement, change in the rate of tax. These are the scenarios related to financial year 2023-24. If I am supposed to make any amendments during the financial year, during the financial year or after the financial year within the timeline of section 16 subsection 4, in such a scenario I need to show the same in part second. So credit note or debit note related details I need to show here, and this is completely related to the registered person only. Okay, I am just suggesting, just take a printout of draft GSTR 9 and 9C for your reference. Okay. And यहाँ पर तो screenshot है. We are doing the discussion on the GSTR 9 in parts. Okay. Part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. But when you will download the PDF file or Word file related to the complete form of GSTR 9, mark certain things. Okay. This is related to registered person, in which we need to show the export related sales, in which we need to show the registered person sale. Under unregistered, we need to show the net of sales of credit and debit note and all the amendments, and paste it in your office, so that the article your staff who is going to prepare the GSTR 9 and 9C return, that person can easily take the reference of the same. And also I am saying that you are getting the access of this video, okay, for a cost of this book, okay, just at 700 or 800 rupees, not more than that. So the point is that recorded video you can watch unlimited time. Provide it to your articles, provide it to your assistant, provide it to as much as your staff, so that they can watch it. It will take just 2 to 3 hours. You can provide the assignment that you should watch this video, you should prepare the notes during the office hours. Believe me, it will be a great investment from your side. They will gain the knowledge about the GSTR 9 and 9C, and your return will be filed in a perfect way. And you may take the notes from them, so that it will be assurance that that person has watched the complete video. So you can do this thing as well. This is my advice. Okay, you can do it. Now, if there will be any amendments during the particular financial year or within the timeline of section 16 subsection 4, in such a scenario the same should be shown here. Now, अभी तक we have covered the concept of taxable sales. Okay, we have covered the taxable sales. There may be chances that a person is involved in the non-GST supply, that is petrol, diesel, aviation terminal fuel, motor spirit, these type of things. There may be chances that that person is involved in exempted supply through the notification. That person is involved in nil rated supply. That person is involved in the export without payment of tax. That person is involved in such type of supply on which recipient has to make the payment of the taxes. That means supplier is not supposed to make any payment of tax. So these type of supplies may be there, that is exempted, nil rated, non GST, export without payment of tax, और अंडर आरसीएम जिसके ऊपर रिसिपिएंट को पे करना है टैक्स. इन सच अ सिनेरियो देयर विल बी नो रिक्वायरमेंट टू मेक द पेमेंट ऑफ टैक्सेस, बट these sales will form part of your annual financial statement, audited financial statement. So we need to reconcile the turnover from audited financial statement, and for that purpose we need to consider these type of sales. So in the part number second under outward supply, first thing is related to the sales, which is taxable. Then after we have covered the credit and debit note and amendments. And the third scene is related to your zero rated supply without payment of tax, that is export. Supply to special economic zone without payment of tax. Supply on which the recipient is liable to make the payment of taxes. The exempted supply, the nil rated supply, the non-GST supply, and the total thereof. These things we also need to mention in our GSTR 9 return. Now, one also point is there which we need to keep in our mind that, sir, when I am making the exempted, nil rated, non-GST supply, there may be chances that I have issued the credit or debit note related to that particular supply. हो सकता है ना, जो मैंने पेट्रोल की सेल की है सपोज 1 करोड़ की, but there is a sales return of 80 lakh rupees. In such a situation, the credit note will be 80 lakh rupees that is related to my non-GST supply. There may be chances that there will be an enhancement of sales related to the non-GST or nil rated or exempted. In such a scenario, that type of credit and debit note should be shown here in the GSTR 9 return. There may be chances that supplies are declared under amendments during the particular financial year or during the subsequent financial year within the timeline of section 16 subsection 4 related to the exempted, nil rated or non-GST supply or export without payment of tax or special economic zone supply without payment of tax. In such a scenario, also I need to show it in the GSTR 9 return. So now, this is my complete sales which I have shown in GSTR 9. And this should be reconciled with your annual GSTR 3B. You just need to keep in our mind. This should be reconciled with your annual GSTR 3B. This should be reconciled with your books of accounts. That is what is the thing we need to keep in our mind, because this is a very important task on which we need to focus. Because if your sales has been reconciled, in that case, your 50% work has already been done. Now you need to focus on your input tax credit, the most crucial part. And for your input tax credit, you need to be very much careful, because input tax credit is the heart of GST. There are a lot of filters are there. You need to check the various reversals. You need to check there is requirement of this blocked credit 17 file. There is requirement of import on account of reverse charge mechanism. So all these type of things you need to be very much careful. So our part number 3 is related to input tax credit, bifurcation of input tax credit and detail of input tax credit. Just we'll discuss on this input tax credit in a very detailed way. Just try to go through with it. Okay. Now, first I am going to share with you the example or through a chart so that we can easily understand the table, the part number 3. Input tax credit. Related to input tax credit, sir, there may be chances that I have claimed the input tax credit for which I bought the goods. Okay. That means normal input tax credit. But जो मैंने goods buy किया है, that means my purchase may be related to input. Maybe I have taken certain services and for that purpose my supplier has charged GST on that. So that will be my input related to input service. There may be chances that I have bought certain capital goods for my manufacturing process for my business, and that input will be related to my capital goods. So my normal input tax credit may be related to input service or related to capital goods. So I should be ready with the bifurcation. But there is one relaxation from government. Government bolta hai, if you are not supposed to make the bifurcation of input and input service, in that case you can show the consolidated amount in input. But for capital goods, you need to provide the separate amount, that is bifurcation. That means conclusively, we can say related to input tax credit under forward charge, that means the normal input tax credit, there is requirement of two bifurcation, input tax credit related to input and input service, and the second will be input tax credit related to capital goods. The second part, there may be chances that I have bought certain goods and I had made the payment under reverse charge mechanism. Made the payment under reverse charge mechanism and claim the input tax credit. Okay, we have a specific section number 9 subsection 3, and in that particular section they have provided a list of goods and list of services. If any person is going to bought the goods or services which is mentioned in section 9 subsection 3, in that case, that recipient, that means the buyer, has to make the payment of taxes under reverse charge mechanism and claim the input tax credit. Now, under reverse charge mechanism, there may be chances that I had bought the goods from registered person and I am paying the tax under reverse charge mechanism. There may be chances that I had bought the goods from unregistered person and I am paying the taxes under reverse charge mechanism. I need to show the same. That means I need to provide the bifurcation in GSTR 9 return under reverse charge mechanism when I am claiming the input tax credit, that this type of things I bought from the registered person and I am paying the tax under reverse charge. And for unregistered person also I need to provide, and I also need to provide the bifurcation of input and input service under the reverse charge mechanism. There may be chances, as we all know, that when a particular person is going to import certain goods or services, in such a situation that person has to make the payment of tax under reverse charge mechanism. That means importer has to make the payment of tax under reverse charge mechanism and importer will be eligible to claim the input tax credit. So the same will be a part of input tax credit under import. Okay, just try to understand the list of input tax credit. First, input tax credit which you have claimed in your GSTR 3B, that will be automatically auto-populated from your GSTR 3B. There is no requirement to put any data in this particular column, in this row. But the point is that you need to provide the bifurcation of this input tax credit. That means this will be from GSTR 3B. But now in all these type of tables, you need to provide the bifurcation based on your books of accounts, so that suppose in your GSTR 3B, if you have claimed any excess input tax credit, there will be a liability to reverse the same. But if you have claimed less input tax credit, there will be no any option to claim the remaining input tax credit now in GSTR 3B. But this reconciliation should be required in a very perfect way. Now, first bifurcation of your inward supplies under forward charge. Bifurcation input, capital goods, input service. You may provide the combined bifurcation of input and input service. Inward supply received from unregistered person liable to reverse charge mechanism, the bifurcation is required. Inward supply received from registered person, bifurcation is required. Import of goods for which you have made the payment under reverse charge mechanism, show here and provide the bifurcation input or input goods. And for services, the input service should be shown here related to the input tax credit which you have claimed. As we all know, there is also one concept is there, that is my input service distributor. If a particular person is acting as an input service distributor, that means that person is transferring the input tax credit to the various branches in the ratio of turnover. In such a scenario, that person also has to take the registration as an input service distributor. And if the branch is going to take the input tax credit which is transferred by the input service distributor, in such a situation, the bifurcation is required here. Then, amount of ITC reclaimed. Sir, what do you mean by the amount of ITC reclaimed? That means suppose if there will be a situation, in that case the recipient has not made the payment to the supplier within 180 days. In such a situation, that person has to reverse the input tax credit once. But when the taxpayer or when the recipient will make the payment to the supplier, in such a situation, that person will again eligible to claim the input tax credit. So if there will be any such type of reversal in such a scenario, that 180 days wala reversal should be shown in this particular row. That is what is the thing we need to keep in our mind. So this is the complete table related to input tax credit, which we have first covered through our chart, and then after we check this particular table, this particular part, so we get that this is a easy for understanding. Now, as we all know that when we have presented the outward supply, in such a situation, there will certain debit and credit note related to reduction of the इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट. ओके, ट्रांजिशनल क्रेडिट अभी यहां पर देखने की जरूरत नहीं है, बिकॉज वी आर फाइलिंग द एनुअल रिटर्न ऑफ 2023-24, so there will be no any question of input tax credit related to transitional period, so we are going to skip this particular part. This will be nil at your end. Okay, now one more option is there, any other ITC availed but not specified. भैया कोई ऐसी आईटीसी है जो आपने अवेल तो कर दी है बट ऊपर कहीं पर भी कवर नहीं हुई, दैट मींस which is not mentioned as your from registered person, which is not based on reverse charge mechanism, which was not based on your import of goods, import of services under input service distributor. Sir, what type of that ITC which not specified elsewhere? The point is that there are certain forms as ITC 01, ITC 02. There may be chances that if a person is going to take the new registration, in such a situation, that person will be eligible to claim the input tax credit for the goods which is sold as on the date of liability. And if that person is going to claim that input tax credit through the ITC 01, in that case, the same has not been mentioned above. There may be chances of transfer of input tax credit on account of sale, merger, amalgamation, demerger through filing ITC 02. And the same is through the ITC 02, hence the same has not been mentioned in the above part. Hence, the same should be shown here. So, ITC on account of ITC 01 and ITC 02 should be shown here. Okay. Then, reversal. There may be chances, जैसा आउटवर्ड सप्लाई में कुछ क्रेडिट और डेबिट नोट होते हैं, the same concept is here in case of input tax credit. There may be chances of certain reversal. Sir, what type of reversal are there? Suppose I have not made the payment, that means recipient has not made the payment to the supplier within 180 days. In such a scenario, recipient has to reverse the input tax credit. That is my rule number 37. Suppose there is any input tax credit which is claimed by the recipient, which is received from the input service distributor. But after that, the input service distributor has issued the credit note, that reversal of the input tax credit. In that case, that ISD has to reverse the input tax credit. That is my rule number 39. There may be chances that particular person is dealing in exempted as well as in taxable products. In that case, there is requirement of partial reversal on account of input service and capital goods, and the relevant rule is rule number 42 and rule number 43. Okay, I am very briefly discuss on these type of things, because if I am going to discuss it in detail, then it will take around 50 to 60 hours to complete the complete GST law. But if you have any question related to a specific point in such a scenario, you may connect with me. Okay, so that I will provide you the short video on that particular topic as well. Rule 42, 43 related reversal, and there may be chances of other reversal which is not mentioned above. There may be a requirement of reversal of input tax credit due to purchase return, due to any entry, so we may do it in other reversal. And also there is requirement of bifurcation of section 17 subsection 5, that is blocked credit. Government has issued one negative list under GST that the recipient will not be eligible to claim the input tax credit, and that will be covered under section number 17 subsection 5. So rule 37, 39, 42, 17, 5, or transitional credit and other reversal, that should be shown here. Then your net ITC which is available for utilization will be there. Okay, this is the complete bifurcation of input tax credit with comparison to your GSTR 3B. Now one point is that sir, we are eligible to claim the input tax credit based on GSTR 2A or 2B only. So we need to provide the bifurcation of the input tax credit with the GSTR 2A or GSTR 2B with the GSTR 3B. So for that purpose, we have table number 8. This table is specifically a table for the reconciliation of input tax credit, which is claimed in GSTR 3B and available in GSTR 2A. So first, the input tax credit as GSTR 2A and 2B will be there, and which is auto populated, and as per GSTR 3B input, which is from the above calculation, will be there. If there will be any difference in such a scenario, there will be a first reason that related to a particular financial year, suppose financial year 23-24, there may be chances that I have claimed the input tax credit during the next financial year, that is 24-25, within the timeline of section 16 subsection 4. Or there may be chances that I have reversed the input tax credit related to financial year 23-24 in the 24-25 within the timeline of section 16 subsection 4. In such a scenario, the same should be shown here. There may be chances that certain ITC which is available with me as per GSTR 2A or 2B, but I have not claimed the same. In that case, the same should be shown here. There may be chances that there is certain input tax credit which is available in GSTR 2A, 2B, because 2A, 2B is not efficient to bifurcate the ineligible or eligible. But as the same is blocked under section 17 subsection 5, hence I have not claimed the same. Hence there will be a variation within the input tax credit which is claimed in 3B and which is available in 2A. So the another reason is there. IGST on import of goods, import of services, if these type of input tax credit is there, in that case, the same should be shown here, so that if there will be any balance is there in such a situation, the same should be lapsed. Suppose certain input tax credit which is available in 2A and we have not provided the bifurcation in above parts, in such a situation, the same will be shown as lapsed. That is what is the reconciliation of input tax credit from GSTR 2B with the GSTR 3B. This is also a very important reconciliation or very important bifurcation. We should be very much careful with that. Okay. Now, this table is my part 4, and in that particular table, I supposed to show the tax payable through the set off of GSTR 3B, that is outward supply, and the input tax credit. Okay. Now, in this particular part, you may edit your tax payable. This field is editable. But all other fields are auto-populated from GSTR 3B. Okay. And this tax payable is also once auto-populated from GSTR 3B. Now, suppose there is a specific situation. In that case, you have paid IGST 1 lakh rupees in your GSTR 3B for the whole year. But while filing the GSTR 9 return, you found that I need to make the payment of 1,10,000 rupees. That means 10,000 more. In such a situation, you may change this 1 lakh rupees to 1,10,000 rupees, but this payment set off will be only for 1 lakh rupees. So here there will be a difference of 10,000 rupees, and this will be a clear-cut indication that you have declared an additional liability in your GSTR 9 return and you have paid the same through the DRC 03. How you need to prepare this tax payable? But होता क्या है, multiple time we are checking this tax payable वाली table, we are thinking that this is auto populated, there is no any addition or alteration is possible, we are not supposed to make anything with that, and we are filing the DRC 03 if there will be any liability, but you are not showing in GSTR 9. In such a situation, if there will be any litigation in future, how you can present your case in front of the departmental authority, that is what is the point which we need to keep in our mind. So this text table is completely editable. If there will be any requirement, we need to put the things. Now, हम लोग बोल रहे हैं in table number 5, that means part number 5, table number 10, 11, 12, 13. If there will be any chances that is related to financial year 23-24, if you made any adjustment in your sales or in your input tax credit during the subsequent financial year within the timeline of section 16 subsection 4, that is 30th November, or annual return filing due date, whichever is earlier, in that case you need to show these things here. And this table is very much important, because suppose if you have not shown anything in this particular table, but if you have made certain supply related to 23-24 during the 24-25, in such a situation departmental authority will not consider the same. और अगर वहां पर जाकर के आप बोलोगे सर वी हैव wrongly filed the GSTR 9 return, they will impose the journal penalty, that is 50,000 rupees for wrong filing of GSTR 9. Hence, I am saying that this GSTR 9 is very, very, very crucial. We should file with 100% concept clarity. That is what is the requirement. So, during the particular financial year, if you have shown in subsequent financial year any supply related to the previous financial year, in such a situation shown here. If there will be any reduction, show here. If during financial year 23-24 you have claimed excess input tax credit and you supposed to show the reversal during the next financial year, show here. If you are going to claim the input tax credit related to the current financial year in the subsequent financial year, show here. In the table number 14, here in 10 and 11, you are showing that we are declaring this outward liability. When you have declared any tax liability related to 23-24 during the financial year 24-25, in that case, definitely you have made the payment of tax in GSTR 3B for the supply which you are reflecting in 24-25 related to 23-24. In such a situation, you need to show this is the differential tax which we have paid related to 23-24 during the 24-25. This is also one issue, that certain peoples are filing this detail, but they are not putting anything in this particular type of table. So we should feed this, because you are showing that related to 23-24, we have made a sales or we have shown a sales during 24-25. In such a situation, you need to show that we have made the payment of tax as well. Varna departmental authority sochega this person has not made the payment of tax, and during the litigation they will raise the demand. So we need to be very much careful from that perspective. Now, next table, which is related to part number 6, and this is an optional table. Okay, we'll briefly discuss on that. In this particular table, if you have claimed any refund during the financial year, or if you have any demand which is raised by the departmental authority, you need to show here. If you are filing these details in such a situation, first confirm the things from the taxpayer. Take the details related to refund file, refund sanction, refund rejected, refund pending, and then after put the data. And if you have no perfect data, blank it. That is what is the thing we need to do. In the next table, we need to show the details related to any supply which is received from the composition person, or any supply which is under the deemed supply or goods sent on the approval basis. This is also optional table. If you have the details related to deemed supply, composition, taxpayer, goods sent on approval, and the perfect detail is available with you, put it. If no perfect detail is available, in that case, ignore it, because this table is also optional. Then we have the last table number 17, that is related to HSN code wise summary. If your turnover is up to 5 crore rupees, in that case 4-digit HSN code wise summary is required. And if your turnover is more than 5 crore rupees, in that case 6-digit HSN code wise summary is required. When you will put this HSN code wise summary, just confirm your taxable value should be reconciled with your turnover which you have declared in the part number 2, that is outward supply. That should be reconciled. Your IGST, CGST, SGST should be reconciled with the tax payable table. Whatever will be your complete things, this should be reconciled. This should be reconciled with your audited financial statement as well. So while fitting the data in HSN code, you should be very much careful, because if there will be any difference between the HSN code wise summary and the total sales aggregate turnover you have made as per your books of accounts in GSTR 9, in that case, there will be a high chances for the notices from the department. And this is a mandatory table. We need to file it. So we should be very much careful while filing the HSN code wise detail. Just confirm whatever HSN code you are feeding in this particular type of table, the same is mentioned on the GSTN common portal as well. Your client is actually dealing in these type of products. कई बार होता क्या है, वी आर रिफ्लेक्टिंग द रॉन्ग HSN code during the litigation. Departmental authority will say that actually you are dealing in these type of products, but you have mentioned on GST and common portal these HSN code. So we should be very much careful from that perspective, that the data should be reconciled and that should be comparative. Then last, late fees, which will be auto populated if you will not file the return on timely basis. In that case, your late fees will be automatically auto populated. So this is our complete discussion on GSTR 9. Our GSTR 9 should be based on our GSTR 3B. But ideal situation is your GSTR 9, your books of accounts, your GSTR 1, your GSTR 3B. All these things should be reconciled. There should be no any difference. And if there will be any difference, in such a situation, you should have the reconciliations. Okay. So that you can do. You may connect on this number. This is my official number. You may connect on this particular number over WhatsApp. You may raise your query so that we'll connect over WhatsApp and we'll discuss on that particular question as well. I tried to cover the concept of law as well. I've tried to cover in a simplified language, but still if there will be any question, if there will be any doubt, you may easily connect with me. Okay. So this is our part 1. In part number 2, we'll discuss on the GSTR 9C reconciliation statement with the audited financial statement. So just go through with it. Now, when you will read that particular physical book, try to make the notes, try to highlight it. इसलिए हमने इस book को बहुत concise way में, just 250 pages are there in this book. So you can easily cover this book in a very limited amount of time. And after watching this video, if you will go through with this book, you can easily cover the content, because I have tried to cover anything in the communication. So thank you everyone. Just watch the second part for GSTR 9C. Thank you.